Hello dear friends, how's it going? Today is Wednesday and it's a beautiful sunny day here on the farm. A couple days ago I made a video about the one thing the government school does that turns us into sheeple, and I had a teacher friend that messaged me and just kind of vented and kind of poured their heart out a little bit and about some of their frustrations and things that I myself felt when I used to teach school, and in watching the students and their lack of discipline, and making the case for discipline in our schools. And where teachers get very frustrated is, they have discipline problems in the classroom and they'll send them to the administration doesn't do anything. And what I quickly realized as a teacher was it is not the school's job to discipline the children, because the students that I had that were my best students, they were disciplined. But it wasn't by me. They came to me that way, and I was able to mold them and guide them and actually do the teacher's job, which is to teach, guide, that type of thing. But what teachers are expected to do today is to help discipline children, and where they get in a crossfire is where what they're doing gets misconstrued as punishment, which is completely different. Discipline and punishment, two different things. And parents today, where we've tried to take this out of context, the Bible says a lot about discipline. And when I used to hear my grandpa talk about stories of the good old days, it didn't matter what he was talking about. He lived on a farm and my dad lived on a farm, and I love to hear them tell stories about the good old days, because the stories about the good old days incorporated things that either happened in school or happened on the farm or happened about feats that they were able to overcome and do super awesome things because of their discipline. When they told stories about school, it was like, we used to have to do this and we used to have to do that, and it was kind of a testimony of their discipline and how proud of it they were. If you ever listened to anybody that was in the armed services, they would talk about how far they used to run or how many push-ups they used to do, and that was a testimony of their discipline. And when we talk about the good old days, how good they used to be, what was it that made them good? What made those days good and sets them apart from today, the not so good days? What's the moral decline and the lack of presence of discipline in our lives? And who is responsible for the lack of that? Well, it's us, the parents. And who in particular of the two, the mom or the dad? It's us, the dad. You see, society has so carefully crafted this thing that either it's distracting us men from doing our job as disciplinarians, or it has, kind of tied our hands behind our backs and made us afraid of, disciplining our kids in public. There's a difference between discipline, which is based on the child's future, how they are to behave in the future, and punishment, which is based on, the child's past. And the actions that we take in a physical manifestation are very different in the two. When I punish or punish a child, that's going to look completely different than when I'm disciplining a child, because one is done out of love, which is discipline, and one is done out of pride or selfishness or anger or malice, a very toxic emotion. I myself, when I am operating at my best, it is because of my discipline. And what you're looking at today is a guy that has areas of his life that are undisciplined, and God is working with me right now. He's opening things up and going, dude, you're not disciplined. The cell phone is a great example. You need to discipline yourself with the cell phone. Holster your weapon is one of the things he's telling me right now. With the finances, with how I talk to my children, or how I talk to my wife, or how I spend my money, or how much time I'm able to spend in the Word. That stuff is discipline. And God says in the Bible, in Proverbs, a parent that hates their children leaves them undisciplined. Boy, I taught a lot of undisciplined children. That their parents would say, yeah, I loved them, I gave them all they needed, but I'll tell you, when we as parents really start in to disciplining our children, guiding them so that when they go out into the world, they are able to continue that discipline that they got at home, of when to make right decisions and when not to make right decisions. It's not to say that they're not going to stumble and we are going to endure horrible, awful things, because what is inevitable are those things. Our discipline is what is going to help us through that. Our discipline and our faith. I mean, everybody is going to go through those tests. I mean, if you build your house on the rock and you build your house on the sand, both are going to have a storm. They're both going to have a storm. It's the difference on what the foundation of the house is built on. They're both going to have tragedy. They're both going to have turmoil. They're both going to have rigidity. But the daily, everyday, basic things that we try to do in our houses as fathers, basic things. You get up and we talk to our children, you know, journal, work out. You know, that's one of the things that has always baffled me about people is working out has nothing to do with losing weight. Working out is disciplining of the mind so that you can control what you eat, which has everything to do with losing weight. I don't know, you know, if this is in the Bible or not, but I almost wonder about all the individual things that we do. How much of a sin is it to be undisciplined? Is it a sin to you know, have tons of marital relations outside, or is it a sin to be undisciplined? Is it a sin to cuss a lot, or is it a sin to be undisciplined with your mouth? Is it a sin to spend all your money, or is it a sin to be not financially disciplined? Is it a sin to be obese, or is it a sin to just be not disciplined with what and how much you eat? Is it a sin to, you know, all of these things I always am curious about. And in my own life, I mean, God's holding the mirror right in my face. Dude, look at yourself. You're undisciplined. God spoke this word to me through somebody else. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Anyway, I love discipline. And I welcome when my Heavenly Father disciplines me, because I know I need it. And I love Him for it. In the same way, when we discipline our children, they will come to love it too. There will be resistance. But I've never, in the life history of me, ever heard a kid go, man, I'm so unthankful that my father disciplined me and made me do the right thing. Never heard that. I've heard I'm unthankful that my father punished me, but I've never heard a kid be unthankful that their kid or their parents made them do the right thing and disciplined them, ever. My parents disciplined me, and I love them for it. I so love them for it. I didn't like them at the time, doggone it. But today, I thank you. Mom, Dad, I thank you. Anyway, hope this resonates with somebody may have needed to hear it just like I needed to hear it. Discipline yourself, kid. That's what I needed to hear. Anyway, I'm going to get back to it. You guys take care. Have a great rest of the day. All right? See ya.